I ask every guest who comes on this question, what keeps you up at night? And you strike me in the few conversations we've had as someone who now probably not a lot is keeping you up at night. It feels like you're very passionate about what you do, and you clearly, are very, very good at it. But is there something that is currently stressing you out job wise? And if so, how are you actively working to address it?
Yeah, listen, I want to, that's funny you say that. I guess appearances, first impressions, things that mean a lot. I got to tell you, I don't know any entrepreneurs or whatever that, on the front side, they're looking at, there's always issues on the back that are keeping you up. You're right there. It's always going to be there. And to be really frank, that the biggest one that keeps me up at night, and I'm almost ready to, I don't say throw the towel in, but forever, is like, I want to help as many salespeople as I can, but salespeople inherently will not invest in themselves. That's why I primarily focus on helping companies. Like, I'll contact a small business owner or the CRO or the VP of sales or the business development director, right? And then get the conversation going, because it's a lot harder to get $5,000 out of a company to train a few reps than it is to get $500 out of an individual rep. I mean, most sales reps won't even spend money to buy a book, to invest in themselves. And I think that's just, I've noticed that throughout the entire industry, through my entire almost 30 years of selling, very few salespeople will invest time and money in them out of their own pocket to do stuff. And so what keeps me up with it, I still try to market to them sometimes, and I'll and try to find try to find a way to get the right price point to help them out. And it's just like, they don't want the help. So I just focus on the companies. But that's what keeps me up, because I'm so passionate about it. I'm like, dude, you could be making so much more money if you just did these things. Spend $500, $1,000, $2,000, whatever, to learn this stuff. And you're going to make it back 100-fold.
Have you seen, because as a person who has been training sellers for a while now, have you seen shifts, even like in the past couple of years, in the ways that you need to train people to get them to buy in, or to, have you seen tactics that have shifted in how you need to help them approach their prospects over the past couple of years?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I come very direct. Look, I'm Italian. I'm from New York, even though I live down here in the Tampa Bay area, Florida right now. And I'm like, I don't want to hear about your feelings and things of that nature. Look, this is how it's done. Okay, do whatever you want, but this is how it's done. I'm using the same sales process now that I learned over 20 years ago, and it still works today, because I'm using the framework. Like, for example, if you really dissect the competition template example that I gave you with the doctors or whatever, the formula is the same no matter what industry you're in. It's the first thing I have to do is I have to pique their interest in the first few seconds of the call. How do I do that? Well, with the competition template, I'm piquing it by mentioning somebody else that they know that's in their industry. And then I mention a problem we helped them solve. And then I mention the result they got out of helping them solve that. And then I don't say I guarantee I could do that for you, because now that takes a different shift. I go, I might be able to help you do that, but to figure it out, I would have to ask you a few questions first. So what it does is it piques their curiosity and unlocks the door, and they go, yeah, come on in, ask me some questions. Rather than, and here's why I don't like the popular, the 27-second opener that's out there. Hey, I know you're not expecting my call. Do you have 27 seconds to hear why I'm calling? Most people are going to be pleasant, just go, okay, sure, just shoot your shot, right? And then they do a data dump. And they just barf up what they're doing, and then they try to take control of the sale by asking a question, because that's what they were taught. And the problem is, the prospect's guard is still up. So then you're starting to get those short one-word answer responses, where my way is, I tell them right up front, agitate their pain and pique their interest and gain permission. And next thing you know, they allow me to ask them questions. And so now I just need to know what the right questions are to ask them to get that problem recognition. And then once we get that green light, then we go to the next one. And this is the system I teach. And so it's a long answer to your question about have I had to shift? I think there's three types of people that come to my training, right? When the company signs you up, and I usually get some of the vets that have their arms crossed at first. They think they know everything. I get the younger generation that they don't even want to pick up the phone, even though that was in their job description. They're making 50, 60, 70, 80K base salary, and they don't want to pick it up. And then you get the eager ones that really want to pick it up. But what I can say for sure is some of the greatest things I've gotten is testimonials from the sales director saying, our top guy who didn't want to take the training is loving this stuff, and now their numbers are up. And it's just because it works. It's just a process that you have to follow.
Okay, I wanna dig into that a little bit, because the eager people, you're right, like that. You take that segment, of course they want to learn. They want to learn. They're going to learn. The people who don't have any experience, I've actually had several conversations with some other kind of like sales influencers and people on various platforms for Orem, where we talked about there is this young generation right now of people who they're coming up in their SDRs and their BDRs, and they just have no experience on the phone, because even growing up, like I am old enough where growing up we had a landline, and I would call my friends if I wanted to go. Like I have experience picking up a phone, and they just, my nieces and nephews don't talk on the phone. And so if they were to become BDRs, they don't want to. Those people, I feel like they can be molded a little bit, and you can talk to them. I want to talk about those more veteran people, because everyone has come across those. I love the team we have here at Orem, but we have some of those people where I'll have a conversation with them as a marketer, and they're like, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to do my work. How do you help those seasoned / grizzled veterans? How do you show them, hey, this is worth your time? Like, how do you get them to continue learning and growing?
That's a great question. So I let them just take the course. So first of all, the course is all on demand, right? So I have a hybrid. So the actual training is on demand, and then I have live weekly classes that they could join and ask me questions. I could role play, fix their script if they're running into. But the actual training is on demand. So how do I get them to go from the first module and willing to watch the next one, right? And the modules are short. First of all, they have to be short and right to the point, because us salespeople, we have the attention span of a goldfish anyway. So anything that's too long, we're just going to fade out. So it's designed, and it's animated too. It's not just me. It's me speaking, but it's not just a video of me speaking. It's animated. So it's capturing their attention. They get to see what we're talking about, and it gives them actual sales techniques. To say, listen, if you're resistant, just listen to this thing. Okay, now go try it. And they go try it, and they go, holy shit, it worked. Okay, we'll try it again. Oh, it worked. Okay, try it again. Okay, that did work out. Keep trying it. Okay, well, it worked, 8 times out of 10. Now we got something. And then now they're like, that's where I usually hear after 1 week. Because I actually recommend that they only do one module a week over an 8-week period. So basically that's the other thing too. If you're going to train salespeople, it has to be in short chunks. I mean, this half day, whole day training stuff, even if it's the best information, it's too much for us to absorb. So what I do is I say, just set aside 1 hour a week of study time. And then for the rest of the week, put to practice what you've learned. And then you tell me if it ain't working. And if it's not working for you, come to the live class. Let's role play it, and I'll fix it for you. That's how we change it.
That's so smart. Because one of the things we talk a lot, we've been talking a lot here recent pieces of content, is time blocking, and how important, especially for like account executives who have to self-source. We say like, okay, well, you better time block 90 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, whatever it is, to do your own cold calling and all these different things. And yeah, the idea of going to a team of AEs who also have to self-source and be like, I need 4 hours of your time for the next 4 days. Like, they're just not going to do that. So I imagine that really does help, like, in pickup rate, I guess, if you want to say it, like from an account executive or even SDR saying like, okay, Michael, yeah, I can set aside an hour a week. Like, that's such a smart way of approaching it. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Now that's with our week of the training. That includes watching the videos. There's exams that they have to pass in order to unlock the next video, things of that nature, to make sure they're doing it. But then I also give them role playing assignments. Listen, the only thing salespeople hate more than cold calling is role playing. But I assure you, iron sharpens iron, and you have to practice it the right way. So when you learn the right way to do it, and then you adapt it to your vertical, and then just do 5-10 minutes a day of role playing as a team to get better. What's going to happen is this: everybody's going to start to get better, or the people that we're never going to get better are going to fade out, and then that's fine. I mean, if they leave, whatever, because one of the things I heard a long time ago was, the worst thing a company could have is a good employee. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, because, a great employee will take your company to the next level. A bad employee is easy to recognize. They're not going to take you to the next level. You just get rid of them. But a good employee does just enough, to keep their job, but they never help the company get to the next level, right? So when you're doing the role playing, if they don't want to do it or they can't do it, they're going to get uncomfortable enough to where they're going to go, I need to leave because that seat needs to generate, just like a restaurant, every table has to generate a certain amount of money every night. Those sales seats have to generate a certain amount of money every week, every month, every year, every quarter, whatever, right? And you need the right people in there, and they have to be willing to learn.
I love that. That is such a like important way to realize it. And we've actually talked about how like in the past, if an organization thought like, oh, we want to double our revenue, let's just double our seat count. That's not true anymore. It's you have to, take into account all of the money that goes into finding people, bringing them in, training them, onboarding them, getting them more assets in your tech stack, all these different things. And like you said, and then on top of all that, they are still responsible for X amount of dollars for their seat. So yeah, I really do love, like we always talk about our platform. It's not just about 5xing productivity of your sales reps. It's about 5xing productivity of your best sales reps. It's about taking that cream of the crop and helping them be even more dynamic. And I have one question before we get to some of the lesser stressful stuff. I'm curious, as a person who has spent your entire career in sales, do you ever feel like you're able to take a breather? Like, do you ever feel like, okay, whether it's end of quarter, end of year, whatever it is, like, do you ever feel comfortable? Because that was something my dad always told me. He was like, I never felt, no matter how successful he was, and he was very successful, he never felt comfortable because he was always worried about the next thing.
Yeah, no, the answer is yes, you can. And the honest answer is for the last year, it's been no, because there's definitely been a shift in the last year and a half, whatever. Now, we can blame the economy and all the crazy stuff that's going on, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with it for sales reps, myself included, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I really think that the industry itself might be cannibalizing itself. What I mean by that is, so Aaron Ross, wrote the predictable revenue book, right? Next thing you know, over the last 10 years, everybody just hires SDRs, buys lists, sends emails out, and just, spray and pray and hope they get some appointments and things of that nature. And it's really not working anymore. And there's definitely a big swing coming back to, we got to pick up the phone. This is one of the things, I know we're talking about me right now, but this is one of the things why I was excited that we talked, because I've looked at your program. I love it. I think it's fabulous. Your dialer, that would definitely make my job easier when I got these leads. I got calling them, right? So, but with that being said, there's so many people that are afraid to pick up the phone, and they need to learn how to do that it's, when there's challenges like that, maybe some people are buying less. Just adding more people to the team is not going to help you get your revenue numbers. It might be better. You might have to cut some dead weight and maybe take some of that salary that you saved and put it to marketing to generate some more inbound stuff. But you better make sure that the team that you do have can handle inbound and outbound and know exactly what to do, because you need to close that revenue. And so, again, long answer to your question, can you ever take a break? You can, but the last year has been difficult. It's been balls to the wall for the last year, for sure.
And I think that the way that I think about people's apprehension on the phone is, it's the reality of understanding that you're going to hear an active no versus a passive no. Like, on an email, you're going to get a passive no. People are going to ignore your emails, or 1 out of every 100 is going to send you a snarky response. If you pick up the phone and you make 100, 150 dials a day using Orem, and you get 40 connections, if you book 5 meetings that day, you're crushing it. That means 35 other people told you to go pound salt. And so it is that, like, just getting that thick skin and realizing, like, it's not personal. It's just part of the business. 95% of any industry is not purchasing at any given time. It's all of these things. Or maybe you just weren't very good on the phone and you got pretty harsh rejection. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's both. I mean, so you have to be able to, like, I role play with so many people, and like, they've been in sales forever, right? Okay, let's role play. They're nervous, whatever. Okay, I'll give you a redo. Do it again. And you can still tell that they're like, even if they've been in sales for 10, 15 years, the simple formula of peak interest, gain per risk call. That's the only thing I want to teach them in my first lesson. How do you peak interest? Like for example, if I was calling somebody a sales director or even a small business owner, and I said, "Hi, this is Michael Pedone with Sales Buzz. I offer sales training. Want to see if we can set up a meeting with your team?" I could hear, "No thanks, not interested. We're all set. We already use somebody," whatever, right? But if I call and I say, "Yeah, the reason for my call, I specialize in helping outbound sales teams overcome call reluctance. There's a really good chance I might be able to help you 5x the number of appointments you're setting a month. I just need to ask you a few questions about your team first. Would that be okay?" All of a sudden, it's the same sales call. It's the same purpose, same call, but I just wordsmith it differently. The formula, peak interest, and then gain permission. Now they're going, "Okay, yeah, sure. I have a second. Go ahead." Or, "I can't now, but call me at 2:00. Whatever, right? Okay. But now the biggest challenge I see with sales teams out there, let's say they set that meeting. What are you supposed to do next? Most salespeople don't know what to do next. Well, even if the person says, "Yeah, I got a second, go ahead," they don't know what's step number 2. And that needs to be fixed, because every salesperson should know before they pick up the phone, there's only 3 things that's going to happen. They're either going to get the prospect, gatekeeper, or voicemail. They need to know how to handle each one of those, no matter what scenario they are, and that's how you get rid of call reluctance. And then once you can do that, then you have to know, okay, wow, I got them on the phone. They agreed to talk. Not used to that. What do I say next? You have to know what the next step is.
We one of the customer stories that I wrote over I don't remember the company specifically at the moment, but we had account executives tell us, like, one of the biggest benefits of Orem is because you're using our parallel or our power dialer, and it's one number after the other, and it automatically drops voicemails for you. So if people don't pick up, you don't have to worry about that. But they basically told us, to your point, he was like, what shifted for me from manually dialing all of these prospects to using your platform is I now expect someone to pick up relatively soon. So I am expecting to have that conversation. So to your point, he's like, I'm ready with my opener. I'm ready. I know what I'm going to say. And I'm thinking about the conversation at all times. Whereas like when I'm manual dialing, it's, 3 minutes for every phone call. I don't expect them to pick up. And when someone does pick up, I'm like, this is Adam from Orem. What's up? And they were just like, I anticipate someone picking up now. And to your point, so they're like, I'm thinking about the call. And so I think that's such an important thing, because you're right. Like, you can't anticipate a no. If you're anticipating a no when they say, "Sure, Michael, I'd love to hear more." And then when you're like, "Oh shit, I was supposed to say something else here." Like, yeah, you're right. You got it. You have to keep going. So,
and that comes down to training. I mean, look, right now, I think I noticed that the Tampa Bay Bucks are already doing their training camp today, right? They're getting their players. They're walking through the scenarios. The notepads on, things of that shit. But these are the plays, and so many salespeople are against scripts because I think there were like sales people out there that were afraid of scripts, so they said don't use them. And I think that's the biggest mistake ever, because, first of all, let me just say this. I will be the first to agree that most sales scripts create more problems than they solve, because they're not written the right way and they're not taught the right way. But at the end of the day, if you want to grow your team, they all need to be on the same page. They all need to know the plays to run. I mean, can you imagine showing up on opening day football and the team just goes out there with no playbook, right? I mean, you have to know, right? I mean, 1st and 10 at the 20, this is the play we're running. Now, sure, the other team might have something to say about the play you're running, so then you have to pivot in real time, but you had a framework to work with. And most salespeople don't have a framework from the start all the way through the end. And that's what I fix.